The world does not run on headlines, it runs on people who care. I'm Peter Murphy Lewis, and this is People Worth Caring About. Alongside my co-host, Jaylene Carpenter, we sit down with the unsung heroes, caregivers, healers, helpers, the ones doing the real work, even when no one is watching. These conversations are not polished, they're personal, because behind every act of care is a story worth hearing. New episodes drop regularly. Get updates at peopleworthcaringabout.com.
All right, hello. Oh, Jaylene.
Hello, my friend Peter.
I'm excited, Jaylene. This Friday afternoon, we have somebody special. You know why?
Well, I know why he's special, yes, but do you?
Yeah, because you can't pronounce his name and I can't either. So we're going to test this out. Both you and I have 9-year-olds, and we try to teach them to confront their fears by practicing. So why don't you give it a swing? How do we pronounce his name?
So, and then when he actually gets on, then we're going to let him say his name correctly?
Yeah, he'll correct both these Midwesterners.
Okay. So because I'm going to butcher it, I'm going to start by, before I say his name, I lovingly call this guy the most interesting man in the world. Like,
that's a beer
those beer commercials were wrong, okay? Instead, the most interesting man in the world is Nash Mahupete.
That's good. I would say Nash Mahupete.
Oh, that sounded not as cool as mine.
Well, before we let him on, I want to know is if Nash on this podcast is as good as his LinkedIn profile. Because if it is, there's no way he's single. He's the best looking guest we've had on People Worth Caring About.
Yeah, and that, I think every other guest would agree with that. But he's also, I'm not exaggerating. He's the coolest guy ever. And so I'm afraid, Peter, no, he's going to be like, all right, guys, I got to go. And you and I are going to be like, no, we have more questions. We want to learn more about you. So I think we got to can we find something wrong with Nash?
Something boring?
Yes.
I doubt it.
I don't know. That's our challenge, is to find out why Nash is secretly really not a cool, most interesting man in the world.
All right, let's start off with that.
Let's do it. Okay. And so am I introducing? We're ready?
Yeah, this is how things work.
I know. I'm new at this, Peter. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to introduce to you all the most interesting man in the world, not just in the great state of Nebraska, but the world. My dear friend, Nash Mahupete. Welcome, Nash.
You got the first name almost right. It's Nash. Peter had it almost close. Mahupete.
Oh, I was so off. I'm so sorry, Nash.
Well, I put you on the spot. I was like, when you asked me to pronounce my last name, I was like, no, I want you guys to go on the air and then you guys give it a shot so that we could have something to at least laugh about right off the bat.
I have a small advantage. Advantage, Nash, because my wife is from South America, so I got into soccer or international football, and there is somebody famous in the last 10 years with a similar last name that's a soccer player, and I had some type of reference to pull it up, and I don't think Jaylene knows what international football is.
I do. Thank you very much. But it's also
I also heard you say something, and I'm like, okay, you guys know how to blow smoke. You're like, oh yeah, this has got to be the most, the best looking guy. And I think I heard you say that about Kyle Benish too. So,
oh no,
I think you say that about every one of your guests.
No, you confuse best looking for most annoying. Kyle, if you're listening to this, I say that with love.
Kyle had on the best shirt. Kyle, an audio podcast, Kyle had on a Hawaiian shirt. So your shirt is plainly colored, so you're not winning in that department.
That is true. I'm a little plain today.
Yeah. So okay, we've talked a little bit, Nash, but we're pretty easygoing, and I'm gonna let Peter kick things off. We might make fun of each other, interrupt each other, but it's all in good fun.
Nash, tell me your story. When did you come to the U.S.? Where are you from? How old were you?
All right. My story in America starts on April 18th, 2000. April 18th is also the independence of my country, which is Zimbabwe, former Rhodesia, British colony. And so I came to the United States. I'm one of 6 children. My parents were sending me out in the world to make a better life for myself. Zimbabwe's economy was tanking, still tanking. I don't know how deep it can tank, but it was tanking and free falling. And they said, other opportunities will exist in the diaspora. So go out and make do for yourself somewhere else. I had a sister in England. Still have a sister in England. She's got a family over there too. And I had a sister in Omaha, Nebraska in the United States. And so when it came down to choosing between the two of those places, I was tired of tea at 4 o'clock, the British thing. I was like, they colonized me for so long. I'm going to America. And when I got here, I was like, oh, crap, this is the America part of it, huh? And it was Omaha, Nebraska. But I've made it home ever since 2000, and I've enjoyed it. It's been a great thing for me and later on what became a family.
So I know, Nash, your basic story, which is like CNA to CEO, which is phenomenal. And we'll unpack all of that. But tell me the story of actually becoming a CNA, because if I know a little bit of the story, you weren't exactly like, yes, I'm a CNA, like, I'm excited to be here.
No.
So tell me that.
No. Well, I was working at Pizza Hut, and I was looking for a job that would help me go to school, because I need something that had flexible hours, something that I go to school in the morning and you'd go to work in the evening, and something that I would be able to work a lot of hours because I was an international student. So I needed a lot of hours, so something that would be open maybe 24/7. And I had a couple of people that I knew that worked at this place called QLI, and they do your training and everything, So I was a person who, my mom is a nurse. My sister is also a nurse, but I had no inclination of doing anything healthcare. And my education then was a track that was going to lead me to environmental sciences. And after I was done with environmental sciences degree, I was going to go back to Southern Africa, work for a non-governmental organization and make my life down there. And I just say QLI happened because I found QLI and it became the place where I love and grew to. I did start off as your most stellar team member. So that's something else. I know, Jaylene, you started right there as an entry-level team member as well in your career. But yes, I did not start off as your stellar team member. I was a good employee, worker, if you want to call it that. I got the job done. I was here for the residents only. It was not a social club. So it was a matter of just get in here, do your work, and, I'm here for the residents and only the residents alone. And boy, was I wrong.
Nash, some people say long-term care is hard. The person who trained me to be a CNA said it's a lot easier if you care. When did you realize that you cared and that this wasn't something for you to get lots of hours and help pay for college?
Well, QLI is unique because you have a young population that we serve, So when I got to QLI, I was working with people my age and sometimes even younger. And so that was a different connection to this world of being a caregiver, because that could be just me right there, in that chair. We serve people with brain injuries and spinal cord injuries and help them rehab them back to life. And I remember just seeing the people, and for me, they were people. But I think the caring side of things for me was I cared immediately about the people I was working with, but I did not, as serving, as a people I was a caregiver for. But I did not care so much for the people who we would do the work together. So I was disconnected from what our mission was because I only thought I was here for the residents, and that's why I came to serve, versus seeing the big picture of things. So, and I can delve into that a little bit later, but it was immediate. And because I had a need for hours. I remember one time I worked like crap ton of hours, and one of my supervisors pulled me in and said, you can't do this many hours. And so they capped my hours. And so I decided to go and get other jobs. So I always had a second job, and it was in senior living. And again, that was another place where I saw, I remember being in Zimbabwe. My grandmother had a stroke. She lived with us for several years. And, we didn't know what we were doing. We were just helping her, carrying her, putting her, from place to place. But I remember that she didn't get as well of care as she could have gotten because we didn't know what we were doing. And so even just the transfers or even helping her out or showers and things like that, she didn't get what she deserves to get for somebody we loved. And so for me, this was also an opportunity of taking care of somebody's loved one. And I saw it from a dignity aspect as I was an extension of their family in so many ways.
So I'm curious, you're clearly a very driven person, Nash. I mean, like one company tells you, sorry, you can't work this many hours, so you just get another job so you can get more hours. In that period of your life, though, did you ever in your life, like, were you ever thinking, like, I'm going to run a company someday, I'm going to be a CEO one day? Like, was that at all in your head? And how did that transformation happen? Wait, this is where Peter's going to reframe the question, because I'm not a good question to ask.
That's a perfect question. That is a very perfectly framed question. I had no intentions of growing within this organization. I think it was one of those things of, for me, it was a job, and I was filling a role that was necessary. I had my own path in life. Like I said, I was young and dumb, as well. So that's the other piece is when I showed up, I later learned, that every organization has its own mission and its own culture. And when you get connected to that culture and mission, you understand how you fit into the into the organization, because the goals of what that organization is, especially in the human services aspect, we're here to help put some meaning in people's lives, and for me, the part of, am I going to grow and run this? That was never the inclination. I had opportunities for people to say, hey, you should do this. And I was like, nah, I've got other plans. I'm going to be going to Southern Africa. I'm going to have an environmental sciences degree. And that's what, so as young as I was, I think I failed to take advantage of the first few years that I was here at QLI, because I had what I thought were my plans and my outcome. And so when I surrendered some of those plans and trusted the people that believed in me, I actually found myself growing and seeing myself that as a leader, and to me, a leader is a person who invests in other people and builds other leaders. Then I started actually seeing myself grow when I started investing more than just in the people that I was taking care of at the time.
Nash, you are very accomplished based on what I'm seeing right now on your LinkedIn. You became a CEO in the last year. You started off a CNA. You didn't know you want to work in long-term care. I'm interested in kind of two things. Do you ever get imposter syndrome? Do you ever feel like something's too big for you and that you're going to struggle? Because I think our audience listening to this, looking at you, be like, man, this guy's unstoppable. He's invisible. Take me into your head. What sits on your shoulder and makes you scared once in a while?
Well, yes, the idea of imposter syndrome. At some point, yes, because I had lots of opportunities that I was put in situations and roles that I did not believe I was worthy of. I kept finding myself in those situations. So I've been at QLI for 25 years. And when they asked me to do, something such as training new team members and onboarding, I was like, oh, I'm not the right person for this. I've got this funny accent, and I shouldn't be doing this. And it's like, well, just try it. And then after a while, it's like, okay, it's going well. Then hey, how about this opportunity? Then you're like, well, maybe no, I don't think I'm the right person for this. There's somebody who's more qualified than me. And it's like, well, just try it. And I can tell you that the idea of classic conditioning, when you get an opportunity and you go through that cycle, you can either, because what we do at QLI is facilitate learning and neuroplasticity. And so what you do more often, you become, and so what I learned by people pouring into me and helping me reframe things such as adversity, in the beginning, I would always just push away. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, I proved myself wrong, even my own doubts wrong. And I had to get away from that cycle. And so it was a matter of once I got an opportunity, it's how do you frame it to see, I see people believe in me. And then also seeing we are a team of leaders. Nobody's going to put me ever in a position to fail. And so I have an army of individuals around me who are going to lean in and help me out. And so the imposter syndrome became less and less. And so as I continued to grow, where I typically would have had the self-doubt, I was thankful, I was prayerful, I was somebody who then saw, thank heavens that, somebody seeing me, and I will work hard to grow in that area that they believe in me. But I also know that I'm not perfect. They're not hiring me or putting me in this role because I'm perfect, but they believe that I can continue to grow. And so the help that I've gotten from from a lot of people has helped me reframe the idea of imposter syndrome to rather something that is positive. There's still doubt, but it's a matter of I'm going to tackle this because other people believe in me.
You're very self-aware, Nash, and I think obviously it comes from your upbringing at QLI, but I have to imagine there was probably influential leaders, people in your life from before coming to America and then after coming to America. Who would have been those foundational people for you, and what did they teach you?
Oh, I had a very fortunate to have had a lot of people in my life. One of the most influential people was my grandmother. She was a tiny little lady. And we lived in the city, but then she lived at the farm. My grandmother was a widow and ran a almost 280 hectare farm by herself. She hired hardened men, who were tough, rough, but really because of love and how she showed up. While other people in the area had farm workers who had a transactional type of relationship, my grandmother had what almost was a community where it was full of acceptance, and they were like family. We didn't call them farm workers. It was uncle so-and-so or big brother so-and-so or sister so-and-so. And so that's the part that I saw from the community that my grandmother was creating, that you should always find an organization that's going to see you and accept you for yourself, for who you are. And the organizations that I've been affiliated with in the United States tend to be aligned with where my grandmother and my own parents had this value, of even though somebody's working for you, you take care of them as if they are your own family in so many ways. And so that is something that I'm also said to do as a leader, is just like myself, when I started QLI, somebody believed in me. And this is what we do for individuals. My story is not just unique to mine. It's the QLI story that see the person who's walking in on day one. I don't care if they're picking up trash. I don't care if they're sweeping floors, but treat them like they could be the next CEO of this organization. Believe in them. Pour a lot of trust and belief in them and nurture them and see them bloom. And so I'm the story because I'm this young guy from Zimbabwe who came in many years ago, who grew up over here, and people poured in me and actually didn't just have it as a lip service type of thing, but actually did it. And now I am the person who's in the role to make this happen for QLI.
Nash, Jaylene knows this story, that after living in South America for 15 years, I always say that Latin America taught me to be a better listener, that I don't think that I would have acquired here living in the US all of my life. What's something that living in Nebraska or living in America helped develop in you that you might not have developed otherwise?
Living in the United States?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack there. The reason why my parents sent me to the United States was because you can try and work your butt off in Zimbabwe. There's a lot of people with advanced degrees who are cleaning car windows on the street with a bottle of water so that they can earn and scrap for a living. A lot of unemployment and everything. But what I learned coming into the United States, first of all, was no matter where you start, if you don't believe that the past determines who you are, but rather the decisions that you can make today going forward, you will find success. That's one of the things. Coming to the Midwest, I think what I learned was it's very hospitable. You have people who are willing. I can't tell you how many times I've asked people to just, sit down and just have a conversation with me. Now, the only disadvantage is they always invite me for coffee. I don't drink coffee. I drink tea and stuff like that. But it's like, I've been to so many Starbuckses and coffee places, stories and whatever else. And it's like, and let's go meet coffee. And it's like, yeah, I'll drink water that morning. But people are hospitable. People are warm. Everybody's willing to just give you some time. I remember riding a train when I was in England. And my cousin, they call it a train driver. He said, hey, just say hi to a few people on the train. I was on his train going back out to Essex. And he said, just say hi to a few people over here and see what happens. And so a guy sitting by and I say, hello. And he looks at me like, what is about to go down over here? I'm like, how you doing? And he just like, let's not, no eye contact. And the next person, hello. And they're like, okay, something bad is about to happen. You do that in the Midwest. I mean, even in the trucks, you get that little one finger salute, people are welcoming, hospitable. And it reminds me almost of back home, this ethos called Ubuntu, which is I am because you are. There's this collective essence towards how we can grow together. And that's something that is unique of the Midwest, unique of Nebraska, unique of Omaha. But I still feel we can do better and not be as divisive as we are sometimes.
It's interesting because I would have made, so I'm not from Nebraska originally, Nash. I'm from Seattle, but I've lived here almost as long as you have, and I would agree. Like these people here in the Midwest, we'll lump Kansas in, I guess, Peter. That's just you're near enough. But people are so incredibly friendly. Yet I think from a national narrative, if we were to talk about a welcoming place that would be open to refugees and immigrants and, place something, we would not be at the top of the list. Like that wouldn't, Nebraska wouldn't be at the top of like, I really want to go there. And so it's just strange that your experience was the opposite of maybe what national public perception would have been.
Yeah, I think we can still definitely do better. I sit on the CERA board, from a refugee aspect, and there's some work that we have to do to get to understand each other so that we can continue to welcome each other. I mean, when you think of even just Nebraska, the biggest growth has been through net immigration, not migration of people looking to move over here from other states, but it's immigration. And so, and even from our populace at QLI, our team members, we have a bunch of immigrants and that are taking care of other people's loved ones. So I feel we have to put Nebraska on the map for being the welcoming place it is, and have a lot of people come over here and do some amazing things with in the healthcare sector.
Nash, I learned from running a 50-mile ultra marathon that there's nothing in this world that can bore me, that I can be super focused and just be patient with myself. What did you learn from track and field being an athlete, and what is your personal record and your favorite?
Hang on, before we go on, Nash, you notice how he slipped in that one time I ran a 50-mile ultra marathon?
I did not mention that I won. I did not mention that I won.
I did notice that piece.
Sorry, Nash. Go ahead. Please answer the very eloquently put question.
50 miles. I want to ask him some questions as to what were you thinking?
Yeah.
I never said I was smart.
Oh, 50-mile ultra marathon. I played lots of sports. One of them was track, 100 meters I ran. But I went to a boarding school. So that's something that sports was an outlet. It was an all boys boarding school. No girls around. And so Marist Brothers was the Catholic sect that it had come from. So we had a bunch of brothers and priests, and we had to go to mass and all that good stuff. But I went to a Catholic boarding school, and to leave campus and get to see girls and enjoy anything other than bunch of boys at school, sports was the outlet. So I ran track, played soccer, played tennis, basketball, then later on rugby, so it was like one of those things that sports was a thing. But my best and favorite event other than basketball was probably the 100-meter. Yeah. I like the 100-meter because it was done with rather quickly. While you're running 50 miles, we're already done and hanging out.
That's so, Nash. I described you as the most interesting man in the world, but we all know that behind really cool people are their family, and most importantly, for dudes, it's their wives. And so, tell me about your family.
My immediate family. So first of all, like I said, I'm one of 6 kids. From that side of the family, I have my older brother in South Africa, then my sister in England, then a sister who used to live in Omaha that I came to, who now lives in Texas. She lives in Frisco. And then myself in Omaha, Nebraska. Then I have a brother who lived in Cape Town. He still got some houses over in Cape Town, but then made Omaha home for about 3 years ago, and then got cold. His kids were playing soccer in the snow, and he said, you know what, we're done with this. And so he now lives in Georgia. Then the baby who's in Zimbabwe. My mom is currently in the country awaiting her green card to approved. So she's bouncing between 3 homes, between Omaha, Georgia, and Texas. So we love that. My dad is since deceased. That's a story that I'd like to share a little bit about, finding an organization that cares about you and actually speaking up. But yes, my dad passed away 2002, a couple of years of me being in the country. And I wasn't able to go to his funeral, and I'll talk about that later. But in 19 years ago, I married a beautiful woman by the name of Sabrina. Her mother works at QLI as well. So I say that my mother-in-law introduced us, and my story is my mother-in-law said, there's a very handsome guy, tall, dark, handsome, with long dreads, and you should meet him. And then she told me, hey, I've got my daughter, and you really need to take her off my hands. And so that's my story, but that's not exactly how it happened. She was living in Indiana at the time, and we did the long distance thing for a little bit. And she ended up coming back to Omaha. She's originally from Boston and then came to the Midwest with her family. But now we have 2 kids, Dominic and Jada. Dominic is 17 years old. Jada is 16 years old. They're both driving, and man, car insurance is expensive.
We went from
that's a little bit about my family.
We went from like this emotional thing about your dad to the realities that car insurance is really expensive.
Yes, it is.
I think Peter will ask a question better about your dad. So
yeah, I want to hear why losing your father and talking about finding the right organization that supports you. What stands out there? I think that's the first time I've ever heard those words.
Yeah, no. My dad passed away a couple of years of me being in the United States, and there were 4 of us outside of the country. It was my brother in South Africa, my sister in England, and my sister, her, and I in the United States. She was living in Texas already. And my dad passed away suddenly, and, it was at least my problem, so that was my issue. And it was
not QLI's problem or anything, but they were very supportive. I didn't speak up about what I needed in life. And what I needed at the time was probably some financial support, in order for me to go back home. So I wasn't able to go back to Zimbabwe for my father's funeral. And that was a very difficult time to not be able to get back home. And yes, it was challenging. My dad's my hero, and all of a sudden is gone. And I wasn't also a person, like I said before when I started this, I wasn't your stellar team member, but I also didn't believe that QLI and I had nothing in common other than the transactional relationship. And I do know one of the regrets, the very few regrets that I have about my time at QLI, is I did not speak up about what I needed, is the support for me to go and be at my father's funeral. So that was a challenging piece.
How long did it take for you to forgive yourself? I missed a lot of families' funerals living in South America, and it took me a long time to forgive myself. I know that you didn't actually have a full option, but that doesn't mean that you always are easy on yourself. How did you process that?
I lived with it for a long time, but I think one of the things that you do is learn from certain situations. And we've gotten to a point where even for our QLI team members, when there is any catastrophe that happens in their life, we meet our team members at the point of need and jump in and help out. It was always that organization, so I'm not saying that we do that because I'm in the role that I'm in. But we've gotten to the point of also making sure that we're asking the right questions of the team members, what's happening, connecting a little bit deeper, so that we can meet people at the point of need. There's more to it than what policy says you have when it comes to bereavement and whatever else. But we've had some people who have had some tragic situations at QLI, and I'm very proud of the organization we are and the ability to be humanistic in so many ways and support the team members we have in a very specific way that they need to be supported. So yeah, that's maybe the way we process it is, at least I processed it, is what I wasn't able to advocate for myself. I would like us to be very intentional about advocating for others.
I'm really curious, Nash. You've mentioned several times of, you were there for the residents. You were not a stellar. You were not, necessarily a team player. And it sounds like even after 2 years of what I know is an amazing company to work for, It sounds like you still didn't actually believe that they cared about you. And or that's how I interpret it. What happened? When did the switch flip, or who was it that made you understand, oh, that mission on the wall, they mean that in their heart and I'm part of it?
Yeah. I think when I started understanding the mission a lot more, that when we talk about QLI's mission, then I only associated it with the residents. When I saw that it also meant team members, families of the residents, funding sources, our community, that's when I started connecting a little bit more, because we talk about our mission. Our mission is to deliver life-changing rehab and care, protect dignity, instill purpose, create hope, and commit to excellence, right? And so those are things that are part of our mission. And when you see that and you only think about it, that to live a life-changing rehabilitation and care, protecting dignity means for the residents only. You're missing a whole lot of the other pieces. And so every time I ask people and they're asking about, hey, how does this work here? I ask them, what's the mission? And then I ask them, who do you serve? And they say, well, I serve the residents. And it's like, well, you serve the mission. When you serve the mission, you understand a lot more when it comes to it's about the residents, their families, our team members, each other in so many ways, funding sources, because they're also stakeholders in this whole thing, and our community at large. So when people start getting that, when I started getting that and understanding that, that's when I started seeing myself as a part of something even more special, something bigger than myself. Before, I was just here as an agent to help the residents I was working with that day. I don't know if that answers the question.
No, that totally did. And I don't want to like totally switch gears and get off of such a lovely philosophical discussion, but I've again described you as the most interesting man in the world, and we would be remiss if we did not discuss your time as Dancing with the Stars Omaha. So
How did you find that?
Please discuss with us your time when Dancing with the Stars, and did you win? How did this all work?
What music did you choose?
Jalene and Peter are sleuths. They go and find things that we do not need people to find.
We're going to put the video link in the footnotes for anyone who wants to see it.
Going in the chat.
I'm going to go and find a private investigator and find a few more things, and then figure out how I can come back on this podcast and reveal some things about
We're older than you. There's not evidence of things that we did when we were younger.
No. Are you sure you're older than me?
No, I'm not sure.
No, I think we're probably all exactly the same age, Peter.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, like, yeah.
So I'm guessing you didn't win. Is that what happened? You didn't win, Nash?
I got a fair score. I danced to Vivir Mi Vida. Yes. It was being voluntold to do something. So that's the other thing, right? My predecessor, I'm going to put her on blast over here, Patricia Kearns. She was the one who was supposed to do Dancing with the Stars, but then she's like, hey, what? You get to do this. And I go, how? It was for a fundraiser. QLI supports an organization by the name of Teammates, and they were doing something that was called Dancing with the Omaha Stars. And so I had to put on some pretty interesting pants that were flared at the bottom, and
a
shirt with frills on it. And
it's on YouTube. Not that people need to go look that up right now.
We need to kill the internet or something. I don't know, so that we can destroy that. I need to hack into some system to destroy that video forever.
Nash, I have one last question before we start to wrap up, and it comes from my childhood. I always say that the phrase that I've heard most of my life from my mom is, the only thing you have in your life, I'm going to get this wrong. I'll paraphrase it because I'm messing up right now. But the only thing that you can control in your life is your attitude. I've heard my mom say that hundreds of times.
That's deep.
If I interviewed your kids today, what would they tell me is the thing that they've heard most out of your mouth as a father, your words of wisdom that you repeat?
Well, hopefully they'll say that, well, I love you no matter what, is one of the things. But what have I told them the most? Do it right the first time. I think that's what I probably told them the most. Yeah, that's probably the biggest thing. And something that my dad always used to tell me was, no matter what the resulting outcome is, if you can look back to the person in the mirror and you know you applied yourself and tried your best, you should be proud of that person no matter what. So yeah, doing it right the first time, because I know my kids like to sometimes just take shortcuts. That's why I tell them that the most. But also be proud of themselves for the work that they put forth. So yeah, your mom's got sage wisdom. Jaylene, what's yours?
Oh, did I tell my kids?
Yeah.
Actually it's similar to what Peter's mom would say, is like you get to choose. Like you get to choose the outcome. And yeah, I have a couple of like perfectionist children who think they're supposed to be like perfect at everything the very first time they try it. They're, 5th and 7th grade. And so, yeah, it's like, no, like, and if they don't, then they're failures. It's like, are you going to choose your outlook? Choose your outlook on this. So, but
no, I think the things that we tell our kids the most is something that's important, right? Because that's the truth that we want to sometimes tell ourselves, but we fail to tell ourselves those things as well.
Yes, 100%. Well, Nash, we had one goal, and that was to find out that you're actually secretly really boring and uncool. And I think we failed. Peter, did we fail? Nash, we didn't even have time to unpack all of the awesome things that your organization does, but thank you so much to you, to QLI for everything that they do. I think it was awesome to spend time with you.
Peter, thank you very much for having me over here. Jaylene, thanks for all the work that you do with the Healthcare Association and supporting all of Nebraska. Very appreciated. I love this podcast.
I got one ask of Jaylene. Let's give it another shot as Nash's full name. I'll let you go first.
Oh, that's not fair. You go first. I have to I need to have it pull up in front of me so that I
Nash
can at
Mahupete.
least. Okay. Hang on. I think I can get this. Is it Ma or Mu on the front end?
No coaching. And did you just close your eyes? You think that's going to make you pronounce better? Anyone who's listening to this and can't see her, she closed her eyes to try to do it well.
Mahupete. I got it.
Yeah. I'm
turning off the recorder. I don't want anyone to know that she was better.
That's a wrap on People Worth Caring About, born from the documentary Built to Keep the Stories Going. Shout out to Nebraska Healthcare Association and Jaylene Carpenter for helping launch it, and to Ohio and New Mexico for making future seasons real. Watch the docuseries online or at peopleworthcaringabout.com. And if this episode meant something to you, leave a review. It matters. Take care of yourself and the people worth caring about.